Welcome to Desire. We cast a lustful eye over the sumptuous design career of Yves Saint Laurent and peer under the brim of some very extravagant headgear. We take exotic travel to extremes with a trip to the North Pole and top it all off with a taste of the world's most expensive wine. But first, let's go shopping. If you're in the market for a vintage Jaguar, Rolls-Royce or Mustang, one event set to become a firm annual fixture in the diary of the classic car enthusiast is the Classic Car Live Show in the UK. The show promises something for all ages and pockets, from the wealthy collector to those who just thrill to the roar and sparkle of classic automobiles.
One of the features of the show is we've got 35 of Britain's best classic car clubs all competing to put on the best stands this weekend. We've got a number of featured displays which have attracted visitors and exhibitors from all over the world. We've got a car that's come here from Texas in the United States and another car, a 1948 Alfa, that's been driven here from Holland.
The Jaguar Club stand, which won the show's Club of the Year accolade, boasted 2 Le Mans winning racing cars from 1956 and 1988. Not surprisingly, Jaguar is one of those classic makes with a loyal international fan base.
The classic car has more history, there's lots of romance, lots of panache with it, and there's the great esteem of the actual make of car, and hopefully all British cars. I mean, I know they're very well in America, Jaguar, and Germany, but in England, it's just dedication to the make.
Visitors to the show get the chance to vote in the Classic Car of the Year competition. And for those who fancy trying their hand at building their own sparkling classic car, there are stands offering everything you need to do your own restoration. If you're looking for something a little smaller that's still got a great track record, perhaps you could be tempted by one of these. From legendary model train makers Hornby, where business is still booming. Bringing the company into the 21st century, Hornby, based in Kent in the south of England, has embraced the CD-ROM era and has also designed interactive systems where enthusiasts design and build their own tracks and circuits. The focus these days is not just on children, but middle-aged men and women with disposable incomes, as Chief Executive Frank Martin explains.
What we found is that over the past few years, there's a whole age group of people who perhaps grew up in the 50s and 60s who are now in their 40s and 50s with more leisure time and more disposable income, who are looking to get back into the hobbies of their youth. And these people demand a much higher level of detail and accuracy than would previously have been available in the toy product sector. And so we took the decision to target that particular sector of the market in order to be able to grow our business.
And he says the same principles apply to the company's toy racing car range, Scale Extric.
Well, Hornby as a business has been going for literally just 100 years, and I think it occupies a special place in the hearts of the British nation. And partly that is, I think, because in the post-war years, when things were fairly austere, Hornby train sets and then latterly Scale Extric sets offered a bit of glamour and a bit of, if you like, fantasy of a better style of life. And people would go and see the layouts in the large department stores and aspire to them.
With profits at more than £2 million and shares in Hornby up 20%, this company is definitely on the right track. Collectibles of an even more impressive vintage went up for grabs at Christie's auction house in New York recently. A vast private collection of rare and high-quality ancient artworks.
Yeah, then you've got javelin.
Experts called the depth and quality of the single-owner collection beyond compare, and never before seen at auction. Max Bernheimer, international head of ancient art at Christie's, has never seen such an impressive collection.
It only rarely a collection this large and this fine becomes available on the market, and so to bring this kind of quality and quantity to sale in a single owner event like this is just such an extraordinary event. We're very excited.
So then you've got
On offer were 300 works of art ranging from Greek and Etruscan vases to Roman bronzes. All classical periods were represented from the 7th century BC to the 2nd century AD. The vases depicting Greek gods and Athenian games are in excellent condition, something not normally seen in artifacts that are so old.
Well, the quality is incredible. A lot of the pieces are absolutely pristine, and the quality is extraordinary.
The most expensive and impressive lot was a fairly large Roman bronze of a god or young athlete, expected to fetch between 1.3 and 1.8 million US dollars.
The entire collection should sell somewhere between about 4.5 million up to about 7, but hopefully a lot more. And the most expensive piece is this bronze figure standing next to me, this Roman bronze youth, which we expect to sell between, let's say, 1.3 million and 1.8 million, if not more. You have to see this thing from miles away.
The entire Morven collection is valued conservatively at around $7 million. And at that price, you'd be sure to go very easy with the feather duster.
Features of Alexander the Great. So even though this is a Roman period piece.
From priceless antiquities to the most expensive painting ever sold, Gustav Klimt's Adele Bloch-Bauer won. The 1907 portrait was recently bought by cosmetics magnate and New York gallery founder Ronald S. Lauder for a reported 135 million US dollars. The portrait of the wife of a Jewish sugar industrialist was the focus of a restitution battle between the Austrian government and a niece of Bloch-Bauer, Maria Altmann. Altmann argued that the portrait, along with 4 other Klimt paintings, was seized by the Nazis during World War II.
I think it's a very important moment because these paintings and paintings throughout museums and private collections that were looted from Jewish homes are perhaps the last prisoners of World War II, 1938.
All 5 paintings were awarded to Altmann, who then sold them to Lauder. The sale is subject to a confidentiality agreement, and Lauder would not confirm the exact price he paid for the piece.
It's not about price. This painting is priceless. What do you put on Demoiselle d'Avignon? What do you put on a great painting of Mona Lisa? Whatever you put, they're priceless. And for us, it's not about price. It's about what this painting symbolizes. And the fact is that it's here in New York.
The rumoured price tops the 104 million US dollars paid for Picasso's 1905 Boy with a Pipe in an auction at Sotheby's in 2004. Klimt took 3 years to complete the painting, which measures 138 by 138 centimetres and is made of oil and gold on canvas. The painting was credited with being as pivotal and revolutionary as Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, which was completed in the same year. The painting's subject became the only woman to be painted twice by Klimt when he completed Adele Bloch-Bauer II in 1912. Coming up next, Yves Saint Laurent. Legendary French designer Yves Saint Laurent bid adieu to fashion with a spectacular catwalk show that charted a glittering chapter in fashion history and reduced many loyal supporters to tears. On the red carpet of the Georges Pompidou Centre to bid him a fond farewell were a host of celebrity fans, including anarchic British designer Vivienne Westwood, along with screen legend Lauren Bacall and French actress Jeanne Moreau. He was also honoured by fellow fashion icons Kenzo and Jean-Paul Gaultier, along with the enigmatic 1980s model and pop star Grace Jones. The stage was set to celebrate the work of Yves Saint Laurent, whose couture creations have fine art status on 4 continents, and who ruled the French fashion world from the age of 21 until his retirement. The chicly bespectacled designer was born in Oman in 1939. After winning first prize in an international competition for his asymmetrical cocktail dress in 1954, he went to work for Christian Dior. He took over as head designer when Dior died in 1957, and the next year he produced the trapeze dress for his first collection. He opened his own couture house with the help of Pierre Berge in 1962 and established his iconic Rive Gauche boutiques in 1966. Menswear followed, along with a very successful incursion into the cosmetics and scent business, which produced the hugely popular Opium perfume in 1977. Some of the most memorable looks of the 20th century flashed before the 2,000 guests for the retrospective of a 40-year career, during which Yves Saint Laurent built one of the world's biggest fashion empires. An army of models paraded for 1.5 hours, in classics like the see-through blouse, the safari jacket and the woman's tuxedo, which have won icon status and influenced countless other designers. Guests roared with approval as models stepped out in eye-popping pop art dresses, recreating the frisson of the designer's groundbreaking 1960s designs, which emanated from his famous Rive Gauche boutique. Models of all ages and races paraded in outfits gleaned from a seemingly bottomless treasure trove of ideas. Sumptuously embroidered jackets showcased the hours of painstaking workmanship that go into making haute couture's exclusive made-to-measure creations. The Algerian-born designer was the first to send black models onto the catwalk, and his designs betrayed a constant quest for exoticism, with influences from as far afield as Africa, Russia and China. Still breaking new ground in 1996, Saint Laurent became the first couturier to show his haute couture show live on the internet. In the same year, he decided to stop making big fashion shows for his pret-a-porter collection. The increasingly reclusive designer went on to confine his viewing of new models to a few selected journalists on appointment basis. Supermodels Jerry Hall, Naomi Campbell and Claudia Schiffer were all on hand to help give Saint Laurent a royal send-off. Many in the audience wiped their eyes during the emotional finale to the show, as Saint Laurent's most famous muse, screen diva Catherine Deneuve, took to the stage to sing a love song for the shy designer, who emerged for his final bow, flanked by 60 models dressed in the tuxedos he christened the Smoking. It was a fitting finale for the visionary who redefined women's wear with androgynous trouser suits that preempted the advent of feminism by almost a decade. Thousands of well-wishers packed the square outside the Pompidou Centre, where giant TV screens broadcast the show. Although Yves Saint Laurent's haute couture workshops closed down in 2002, his perfume and ready-to-wear divisions live on, under the umbrella of Italian luxury giant Gucci. Throughout his career, Saint Laurent was famous for maintaining the highest standards of classic cut and tailoring. That earned him a standing ovation after every collection he presented. His creations have been exhibited in galleries and museums all over the world, and one curator of a recent exhibition in Kent, England, declared that no haute couture atelier excelled that of Yves Saint Laurent at 5 Avenue Marceau in Paris. And despite his legendary shyness, Saint Laurent himself believes he is the last true couturier. What could you possibly find to top the superior couture of a legendary designer? How about the world's most expensive hat, unveiled in fairy tale style amidst a collection of old master paintings at Christie's in London? The £1.5 million Chapeau d'Amour by couture hat designer Louis Mariette was modelled by American actress Alicia Witt. The London-based celebrity hat designer says he was inspired to create this dazzling headpiece by a vision of entwined ivy and bluebells from the forest of Cliveden House during springtime. Mariette created the gem-encrusted platinum chapeau in weeks of meticulous manual work. He had every trimming and fabric sourced from far-flung destinations around the globe.
Well, like many things in life, I think every designer needs a piece de resistance. And I remember a couple of years back, I was with some mysterious lover walking in the forest of Clifton in bluebell fields and forests. And it was a wonderful moment because, it really captured a spirit. And I'll always remember that day, obviously because my little companion as well. But no, it was a very special thing. And of course, I wanted to recreate that moment and capture it in the design that I'd done. And voila, I'd created it, yes.
Using a base of rare woven platinum fabric, specially commissioned and made in Tokyo, Mariette hand-burnt roses over many hours and then hand-stitched them onto the fabric. A lot of work indeed.
Oh gosh, absolutely. This is weeks and weeks of work. Each of the rows in the fabric is all basically, there's a flame with a burning flame, and what I do is I get a pin heated up and I'm intricately burning the whole pattern out for hours and hours and hours, and then embroidering the actual platinum fabric. But then not only that, the actual flowers continue up into the Lady Amethyst feathers, which I inherited from the Marahaj Empire, and actually were passed on to me, and hence the piece was created. But absolutely a lot of time went into it.
The hat is set for more displays at the Melbourne Cup horse race, Monaco, Tokyo and New York. But so far, Mariette has not been tempted to put his pièce de résistance up for sale.
Many people keep saying, well, are you going to sell it? And we've had a few bidders, but it's my little baby, and it's so difficult to part with something that's so special. But if it is parted, it will have to go to a good home, someone who appreciates the love and passion that went into creating this piece.
It's incredible. I feel a bit like a princess, and I caught a quick glimpse of myself in a mirror as I was walking down here, and I just thought it reminds me of Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. It's that sort of dress-up, glamorous thing.
The celebrity milliner is known for creating theatrical fashion shows. His hats have been modelled by top names, including Jodie Kidd, Sophie Dahl and Lisa Butcher. Coming up, a holiday on ice. If you're bored with holidaying in the world's most popular hotspots, perhaps it's time to broaden your horizons and consider somewhere a little cooler for that holiday of a lifetime with a difference. You could be one of the first to experience an extreme adventure trip to the Arctic Circle. But can the North Pole really become a tourist destination? Putting the idea to the test, Russia's polar expedition officials have recently been hosts to the first group of polar tourists. They believe that if the Russian Space Agency can offer tourism in space, they can do the same in the North Pole. A group of 20 people, including some of the cast of Nordost, a musical about a Russian polar expedition that perished in the North Pole in 1912, went to the frozen wastes of the Arctic Circle on the first ever organised tour. Of course, if you do fancy a holiday on the polar ice, you will have to obey a few house rules. Don't go beyond that snow hut or anywhere else alone. It could be dangerous. There could be cracks in the ice and polar bears out there. Russian polar expedition officials have teamed up with tour companies specialising in so-called extreme tourism and are already running the trips. Up to 5 trips a month are planned, weather conditions permitting. And Valery Koshelev, who heads up the Polar Expedition Enterprise, believes they're on to an icy winner. I'm thoroughly convinced that more and more people will start coming here in the future. And this will open up more opportunities for tourism. Of course, we'll have to have more planes here, and we'll need less expensive fuel. You see, at the moment, only the rich and well-to-do people can afford such trips. But we hope that in the future, we can bring other people here as well.
вложился в этот материал.
If this kind of holiday appeals to you, you'll need to book well in advance and be prepared to pay in the region of $8,000 to $11,000. The tours last 5 days and are only available in April, when temperatures climb to around minus 35 degrees Celsius, which is warm in comparison to average lows of minus 60 degrees Celsius in the winter. And the first group of polar tourists seem to have enjoyed the experience, whiling away the endless hours of daylight with a spot of snow badminton and cooling down their drinks with some genuine polar ice.
У меня слов нет, если честно говоря.
I'm speechless. I could not even dream that one day I would find myself in the North Pole.
В общем, я счастлива.
I'm so happy. Now I can mark the North Pole on my globe at home and tell everyone that I've been here, on the Earth's axis.
Спасибо всем, это здорово.
They say that a change is as good as a rest. So if you can withstand sub-zero temperatures, constant daylight hours, basic accommodation, and are not afraid of polar bears, then maybe the North Pole is for you. How much would you pay for your favourite bottle of wine? £50? $200? An anonymous wine connoisseur has just bought what is thought to be the most expensive bottle of white wine in the world, at £55,000. It's a 1787 vintage Sauterne from Chateau Yquem. Stephen Williams, managing director of London-based Antique Wine Company, helped source the wine from a private collector in France. He will now fly by private plane to deliver the wine to his US client.
Well, Chateau Yquem is made from shriveled up, overripe grapes. And this produces a very sweet, concentrated wine that has the capability of remaining drinkable for many, many years. As far as we know, there are only 3 bottles in the world. And naturally, something that gets better and better as it gets older becomes very, very valuable. Well, our client is an American multimillionaire, and we have a lot of very special clients. But I have to say that with bottles like this, it's more difficult to find the wine than it is to find the client.
At well over 200 years old, this £55,000 vintage from Bordeaux has seen a lot of history.
When these grapes were being picked, Marie Antoinette was sitting there in Versailles waiting to have a head chopped off. James Watt was inventing or developing the steam engine, and George Washington had just been nominated as the first president of the United States of America. At the time, so. What's important to us is that we thoroughly research its history. We know that the wine was recorked in 1953 and again in 1994, and that's been verified by the owner of the chateau at that time.
But will the wine's new owner be tempted to crack open the bottle?
Well, knowing our client, let's just suppose that he had the right company around the table. Then I suspect that even at $15,000 a glass, he might find it difficult to resist the temptation.
Next time, we bid for some very desirable memories. We sift through a treasure trove of gifts for Oscar hopefuls. And remember a piece of Hollywood history. Before taking the plunge with some very pampered pooches. And may all your desires come true.